let me give you another scenario, and then I'll kind of tell you exactly why I think this is going on. I can remember back in 2009 when Christie was running against Corzine. Now, the first thing that was weird about it was how all of a sudden Christie, it was very easy that he was going to win it, that it was almost going to be in a landslide. And the reason was everybody was saying is, well, everybody's just so sick of Corzine. Now, don't get me wrong. Corzine he was awful. He was a disaster for the state, but he wasn't any different than any of the other Democrats that have been running the state for the last 20 years. I mean, there wasn't any difference at all with him. So Christie gets in, and I bring this up for a reason. And this is why everybody loves Christie, and this is why I never even jumped on him in the beginning, because he had the so-called battles that he took on the unions, and he changed, the way the pension system was. And that's why he ended up getting the national attention, and everybody loved him, because he was actually doing what basically everybody should be doing. But the reason that he took on the teacher unions, and the reason you actually had a change, and let's remember, there's more Democrats in the Senate in New Jersey than there are Republicans, so you had to have the Democrats go along with them. See, states aren't like the federal government. They have to have balanced budgets. Now, there's a way that they can finagle around with the money to a certain extent that they can to make it look like when it's balanced, when it really isn't. And they had already done all the tricks with that. They've already raised taxes more than they could. The fact that the economy was going down, their revenue was going to be down. And the major problem was, amongst other things, but the public teachers union. It was so out of whack that the projections, they couldn't keep up with it. It was unsustainable. You can't pay a teacher 20 years. What, they're going to live for another 60? They're going to start in their middle 20s. They live till their 80s, and you're going to pay them for 40 years and they don't work? It's impossible. You can't go on. It's unsustainable. They had to make the change. And in fact, Rahm Emanuel, former White House chief of staff for Barack Obama, he just did the same thing in Chicago. They cut the unions of the firemen, the policemen, the public unions because they had to. And I bring all this up because Christie did it, and he was able to say, oh, yeah, he took on the unions. He, fought for everybody. He got things done. And the Democrats had to go along with it. And why do you think the Democrats went along with it? Because they got to a certain point where the numbers are so out of whack, the unions were so out of control, the deals that they had struck, that they were unsustainable. You couldn't go along with it anymore. So what do you do if you're a Democrat? Are you going to be the guy that makes the changes? Are you going to be the guy that makes the tough decision and cuts the deficit and tells the teachers union, I know you guys funnel millions to us every year, but we're cutting your pension? No. You let the Republican do it. So you let Christie do it, and Christie gets to have all the attention, the accolades as the guy that took on the unions, and then you sit back after it goes through, and then you fight for it. And that's exactly what happened. The president of the Senate there, one of the dumbest people I have ever met in my life, can't even put three words together. He's an idiot. It looks like a Saturday Night Live skit when he tries to criticize Christie. The funny thing is he's probably going to be the next governor. But that idiot runs on TV. He's on Fox News right after it went through opposing it when his Senate just had to go along with it for it to be able to go into effect. So my point is, it looks good for the Democrats and it looks good for the Republicans. And now I turn to amnesty. And this is what's going on here. It's a dream of Democrats for millions of reasons to put through amnesty. Is it good for the country? Of course not. That doesn't matter. Now, the Republicans, because they are become so beaten down by the media, they don't know how to defend themselves, and they don't speak about the issue the way that it should be spoken about. And a lot of the establishment Republicans that are nothing more than fake Republicans that I wish would just get out of my party, they want it to go through for other reasons, a lot of agriculture money. And then I could tell you, too, there is a need for the, let's say, unskilled workers, the lower end, but that's because of our policies. Because if you're basically on welfare now, it doesn't even make sense. You make double or triple than what you would really starting out at a job. But where you end up losing is what that job's going to turn into in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But I'm getting off my point. So now you have basically parts of the Republican Party and the entire Democrat Party that wants amnesty to go through. And they were getting ready to maybe do legislation, try and act like they were pushed into it. And the Eric Cantor thing changed a lot because as soon as Eric Cantor, the former majority leader of the Republican Party, as soon as he was primaried, there was reports out afterwards that there was 141 Republicans that were ready to go on with amnesty. They were ready to sign along with it, and then nobody wanted to vote afterwards. So what do you do now? And here's the solution. This is one of the unique, rare times in history where you actually have a moron in the White House. Somebody that literally, he hates the country so much, and he has such a chip on his shoulder that he doesn't care, that he'll go every day, he'll lie to the American people and tell them it's a good idea with a smile. It's a staged crisis that people in his administration helped set up, and then he'll act like it's humanitarian reasons that we have to do this. Then he'll actually act on his own, something that nobody would ever do in their right mind. He'll just go ahead, he'll use his pen, and he'll be the scapegoat, and he won't even care. He'll let everyone in the country hate him, and he'll be the face of it, and it doesn't even bother him. Case in point, Obamacare. A dream of the Democrats. Now, the Republicans didn't have anything to do with Obamacare, but a dream of the Democrat Party. And they knew that there's no way that, and eventually what it is, it's to be able to push everyone onto a single-payer system. There's no secret there. The Democrats talk about it all the time. Obama himself said it when he was speaking to the, I forget which left-wing group it was. Oh, they're not going to let us go with government health care first. We've got to ease them into it, and we've got to force them into it. But you knew that that's what it was. Oh, you need a face of it. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody really in their right mind is going to be the guy that's just going to lie to the American people, be the pitch man, right to their face and directly, and actually not even more than directly, mock the other people. Oh, the people that say that you're going to lose your plan, they're nuts. They're the crazies. And no one is really going to do that and be able to have to stick around and deal with that. Nope, not this man. He doesn't care. Ramrodded Obamacare through, and that's exactly what he's doing with amnesty. And he doesn't care because he literally, his bitterness, the angry little nerd that he is, nothing more than a Occupy Wall Streeter in a suit. Does the policies work? No, it doesn't matter. This feels like they're just. It should happen. Will it make an impact? Doesn't matter. It's just a get back. That's basically all that his policies are. And he'll be the guy, he'll be the front man, and he'll put through amnesty. It's amazing. And he doesn't care. Because he's nothing more than an angry little nerd at the end of the day with a huge chip on his shoulder, and he'll do whatever he has to. In a part of a way, it's amazing. The same thing as his Attorney General, Eric Holder. See, it's Obama and Eric Holder. Their own, let's say, bitterness and jealousy for whatever reason, and they're so skewed, their view and their thinking on race, it is so distorted that they can't even realize what's happening. Eric Holder still, last week in an interview, talking about not just racism in the country, a racist justice system that we have. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching it, we're 6 years in now for you, a black man. A black man. Now, you've run the Justice Department for 6 years, and you answer to another black man, and you're telling me that there's a severe problem with race in the justice system here? Well, what have you done about it? That doesn't even make any sense. And it all comes back to this, and this all comes back to their policies. Barack Obama, Eric Holder, the little angry little nerds that they are, the little throwbacks from the 60s, they are so skewed in their thinking. They are so bitter. They are so jealous. And their views on race have construed their thinking so much, they don't even realize they're in power. I mean, Eric Holder does not even really realize that he's running the justice system, does he? How could you sit there and say that? How could you say that the justice system is very racist? And the man's run it for 6 years. Then do something about it then. The same thing with Barry and all of his policies. And at the end of the day, the two that they are, the little Occupy Wall Streeters in a suit, their clouded thinking is literally, they can't even understand what they've become. They can't even understand that the President of the United States and the Attorney General. And all of that brings me to they'll be the scapegoat. They don't even care. That's how much bitterness the two have. And that's why we're going to have amnesty. And the Republicans are just allowing it. And we'll come back. I have some comments on the Republicans and the leadership, too, because it's out of control. And they should not have let it got this far. That's the problem. I blame the Republicans just as much for letting it get this far.